Okay, does anyone have anything we should maybe talk about today on the channel? Anyone? Anyone at all? Me. I have an answer. Me. Okay, what should we talk about, Randall? What should we talk about today? You have the answer for me? What should we talk about on the channel today, Randall? Well, I think we should talk about becoming a ball python breeder. I mean, a lot of us don't know about it in this class. A lot of us is just really excited to get one. I just think that's something huge that we should talk about, and I think that's something very important. Don't you think? You're right, Randall. That is a nice subject to kind of talking to YouTube about today. You know what? Hey man, you're right. You know what? I like you, Randall. I like you. That's a perfect thing to actually talk about today. And I won't cover too much about it, but I will cover enough information to get a person going on starting that ball python breeding. Awesome thing, Randall. Awesome. So this video, we'll be basically telling you guys about becoming a ball python breeder. Sit back, relax, get you something to drink and a popcorn. Well, no, don't, because it won't be that long. But it'll be a quick informational video for you. Let's get it. Let's go. Please like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Don't want you guys to miss these bangers. Let's get it. Let's go. So, I know a lot of people get into the ball python stuff, and I mean, first thing is number one. You want to become a breeder, or you just want to, you want to become a breeder, a ball python breeder to be specific. Me is what I've learned, and number one thing is to first do your research. Make sure this is something that this animal fits you, you know, as far as feeding, as far as if you can afford the feedings. If you can't even afford it for just one snake, I don't recommend you becoming a breeder off the bat. Okay, do your research just on the animal itself, how this animal should be kept, you know, how ball pythons like to be kept, and definitely if you're becoming a breeder, even if you're going to have enough room to even start breeding ball pythons. So that's the number one thing. Do your research on ball pythons. You can Google, you can YouTube. Not always saying that you might come across a YouTube video that's actually telling you the truth or good information about how to actually keep a ball python, how to feed them, and so on and so on. You know, just because you come past that first video, just because you see a lot of likes on it, doesn't always mean that it has the right information in for you. Also, you go on Google, you might see something that's talking about, hey, feed your ball python rabbits. I do it, you can do it. It doesn't, you know, do your research, make sure this animal fits you and fits what you're wanting to do with it in the future. Number two, do your research on what projects you're actually interested in starting in. It can be from your Mojave jeans, your desert ghosts, your clowns, your pods. I mean, the list goes on. But don't have a scattered rack. And when I say a scattered rack, I mean don't have normal, a pod, a Mojave and everything. You're just going off of the color. You're just going off the looks of the animal. If you're becoming a breeder, every snake in that rack should have a purpose for you and your breeding project. Okay? Don't just go and just start going to the reptile show. Oh my gosh, this one's beautiful. It's a beautiful color. I want it. If this snake doesn't have too much of a good input for your collection or for that project, then you might just need to pass up on it, because all you're going to be doing is just basically adding more snakes that don't have anything to do with any projects that you're actually looking to get into. But now if you do go to the show and you do see this snake that you really like, and you're like, hey, this is another project that I want to get into, then that's totally different. Now, after you've actually looked and seen what type of projects you're actually looking to get into, and the money that you'll have to invest into getting that snake or that specific project started, now you might want to actually be looking into the cost of living for that project. When I say that, I mean your rack systems. Actually, you should be looking at your rack systems before you even be looking at the snakes, because you need to put them in something. You have rack systems that vary from all over. You can either build your own racks. You can go online to see Serpent, or I mean, the list goes on of different people. ReptileTubs.com, Freedom Breeder. I mean, the list goes on of how many people out here is actually making racks and things like that and actually selling them. You can basically actually Google reptile or snake racks, and they should pop right up for you. But you want to go and look to basically purchase racks for these snakes to actually go in. Please don't be cheap on your rack systems. I'm sorry, I had to say that. Don't be cheap, because being cheap, this is an investment. I mean, we don't go out and go purchase this nice, beautiful car that we want to, start a project on and actually build it. You can't be putting cheap things in that car, because after a while it's either going to break down or you're going to have more problems. So you put all this money in it, but you went the cheap route, and now you still have to go back and spend more money. So investing into your ball python stuff, I'm not saying you have to go splurging, but also don't go cheap, because it will bite you at the end of the day, believe me. So with your rack systems, I mean, like I said, it's a galore of rack producers and rack people that make them. It's a lot of rack systems out here, believe me. You go online and see which one you could basically afford, or like I said, you might even make your own if you have some PVC sheets that's in your local stores and Home Depots and Lowe's and maybe other mom and pop stores that might sell PVC. And if you're a good person that good with working wood and cutting and heat tape and everything, and that's awesome. And you can basically actually build your own rack system. I'm not telling you not to. If you have it in you that you know you can do it, do it. Now, after you look at your rack system, this is the thing that comes down to it. Making sure you have a rat supplier. A rat supplier, well, you might like, what the heck is a rat supplier for some of you guys? Someone that you're buying your feeder rats from, live or frozen. You want to make sure you have someone that you're going to purchase your feeders from on the daily, who you can call and they have it. Someone you don't have to, can't get in touch with them, or they're out of town 24/7, or they don't have good feeders, they're not feeding their rats properly, they're not feeding them the best diet. That actually blow back onto your snakes. If they're not being taken care of, you have sickly rats. You just don't want all that. You want to make sure you have a rat breeder who's taking care of their rats, who's ready to go 24/7. Whenever you call, they're available. They still have lives too. So I'm not saying that every time that you call they have to be available, but I'm just saying where if you're doing your big order to pick up your rats to feed your snakes, you want to have a rat person. You don't want to have not have a rat person and you have to wait for a show that might come maybe every once a month. Your snakes can't wait that long. Now, you can either go to the show and pick you up some rats and try to start breeding your own rats. If you can breed your own rats wherever you're located. I know some people can't breed their own rats. They might be renting, and renters don't have a problem with you feeding your snakes but not breeding rats and this stuff. So that's another thing that you have to kind of play a part in. So that's the number one thing, is making sure you have a person, your feeder source, and also making sure that they don't just breed just rats. Maybe they breed African sulfurs. Maybe they breed mice. These are the type of things, that you got to really ask your rat breeder, because you might have a snake that's just on mice at the time. You want to make sure that you'll be able to get these mice for that snake, or these African sulfurs, or just these Norwegian rats. You want to make sure you have that. That is very important. Also, this is another one. When you're shopping for your ball python, don't be afraid to ask other people before you purchase from this person. Hey, have you ever done any deals with this person? Have you ever purchased a snake from this person? Always recommend going on Morph Market, or if you're not going on Morph Market, try to actually go to the reptile show where you can actually sit down and talk to this breeder, get some insight from this breeder, and just basically see their stuff up close. Morph Market, you're basically purchasing over line where you're kind of trusting this breeder, but you can also go down below on Morph Market on their page and basically see their reviews. Some people might give them 1 star, might give them 2, might give them 3. They might even leave a review to say, hey, this breeder knows what they're doing. They sold me this snake. They sold me this whatever creature that they purchased from Morph Market. and it came healthy. It's eating, everything they said that this snake had in its gene pool. This is what it was. This was the sex, everything. I don't recommend going on Facebook and just try to buy your first ball python off of one of the, reptile pages, because you don't know how this person was keeping this snake. You don't know how they were keeping them. You don't know how the cage is set up. You're running into risk of mites, respiratory infection. All of this. Let's say this one snake that you bought off Facebook, and then you go to the reptile show, or you get all these other snakes off Morph Market, and you put all of them in a room together. This one snake that you got off Facebook could get all these other good snakes that didn't come with anything sick or mites. The mites problem, yeah, you can get rid of it after a while. Will take some time, but the respiratory infection can basically wipe out that whole collection. Now, once you basically then went to Morph Market or went to the reptile show, and you purchased your ball python, congratulations. You're now a ball python parent. Not a breeder just yet, but a parent. Now, you got your rack system. You found your rat guy, and you found your ball python. That's going to be basically starting your projects and your future projects for now. You might even bought 3, you might even bought 4, you might even bought 10 ball pythons at the reptile show today or on Morph Market to basically just get all into it right now. Cool, that's awesome. So now that you did that, you want to make sure that you have a great connection with those breeders who you purchase your snakes from. Now this is to my breeders. When you have someone that comes to you and they purchase that first snake, off the bat, they should be treated like family, okay? Every single customer that comes to you is now a part of your family, okay? We can't just have them, we want your cash, that's it. And when this person might text you, this person might inbox you on Facebook or maybe Morph Market, and they have a few questions that they have. And you don't text the person back, you don't inbox them back, you don't email them back. That is just wrong doing. I'm sorry, I have seen it. It has happened to me when I first got into it. You treat them like family. You treat everyone like family. Everyone should feel like family. I just purchased something from you. It's either going to be part of my family or an investment thing that these snakes are still part of my family. I want to make sure they're up to par. I might have a question. Snake might not be eating. I might be doing something wrong. You might have a certain way of feeding this type of snake or a certain temperature. They might have these type of questions, but you just ghosting them because you just wanted that quick cash. It's just not right. Okay? So now, back to my new ball python future breeders. You got your new ball python. That's awesome. Basically now, you already went through your setup on purchasing what type of bedding you want to use. I'm not going to throw out there what type of bedding, First of all, you need to go off what type of bedding the breeder's using. And when I'm saying bedding, I mean the substrate that you're using. You need to go off of what the substrate the breeder is basically already using. I've got a rack system where you guys might see cocoa shavings inside. You guys might see paper towel inside of the rack system, because these snakes were already on it and I just don't want to switch them up off the bat while they just get into my home, because I don't want to throw them off. Just changing up a certain substrate and the whole reptile thing, it throws reptiles off. From bearded dragons, monitors, boas, everything. That's just like someone taking us from out of our home and putting us into a whole other home and expect us off the bat to just still act normal. It just won't work. So, make sure you carrying your whatever substrate that you're using or the breeder recommended, and also keep your paper towels on hand, because paper towels you just can never go wrong with as far as using on bedding. You can spray it, holds humidity, the poop, pee, everything goes right onto that with no problem. So, I'm telling you, make sure that you basically build a connection with your breeder that you're purchasing from, and the breeder, make sure you build a connection with the customer who's purchasing from you. Now that you got your snake, you got your rack system, you got your rat breeder, you got your bedding that you're using, now that you're basically saying that you want to be a ball python breeder, let me tell you this. If you saved up a little bit of cash, it's been a while, so now that you got your ball pythons and they're in the rack and they're growing and everything, now what you need to start doing is investing into a reptile incubator. Sea serpents to be exact. I'm sorry, I'm just throwing it out there, but sea serpent racks awesome. That reptile wax, the reptile incubator is awesome. So definitely, if you want that good incubator, hit up Sea Serpents. But if you cannot afford Sea Serpents incubator, you have other people that make incubators. You have other people that make homemade incubators. You can even make your homemade incubator if you want to. Just make sure it's up and running and make sure it's set up right. You can look on YouTube to see how you set up your incubators, or if you're already purchasing one to set up, not too much you really have to do, but just to get a box that regulates your temperature, your thermostat, and that's about it really. Other than that, you're good if your stuff is already set up. But for someone that's setting it up, you might want to go on YouTube. If you're setting your own incubator up yourself and basically making it out of a cooler, wine cooler, small refrigerator, anything like that, when you're setting your cooler or wine or fridge or whatever, mini fridge, make sure it has a glass front. I don't recommend having it where, you know, some refrigerators just white, you can't see through it, because it becomes a problem where you want to keep trying to open your incubator, keep opening it up to kind of look at your eggs inside to make sure they're doing well. You just let humidity out, you let heat out, you let air, you let everything out of there, what you basically want to stay inside. You got a glass front, you can look inside to your eggs, see everyone's doing awesome, perfect. Now, you got everything down and packed. Everything you got, your rack system, your snakes, your incubator, your substrate, your rat breeder. Now, the best thing is to keep feeding those snakes. Take your time. Don't be in a rush. And also, get you a scale to weigh each snake on. You want to make sure that everyone's basically gaining weight, holding their weight. You know, someone might be being underfed, even though you might be thinking, hey, that rat might be too big. Most of the time it's not. You just want to make sure everyone's being fed, because you're looking to start breeding soon. You know, you don't want to basically force feed and get these snakes fat. You know, you don't want them to just power feed, no. But you do want them to make sure they're up to weight. So by the time it's time for breeding season, whenever they're ready, you know, that could be from a year, depending on how big your snakes are already. That could be from 2 years, maybe 3 or 4, depending on how small the snakes are. But you at least want to make sure you're weighing everybody. Everybody's doing good. Everybody's picking up weight. Everybody's doing awesome. Have you maybe a chart around in the reptile room somewhere, and you're just taking everyone's weight down. You know, after feeding, maybe a week or so, you're just taking like, oh, okay, you're gaining weight, cool. Somebody might not be gaining weight. You know, you're like, okay, I might need to up your food size and things like that. That's mostly important. Also, get your label maker. You can write on your rack system in the marker if you want. It comes right off. After a while, you get some hand sanitizer and just wipe it off with a paper towel and it'll come right off. But it just gets kind of wicked for me. I just see all this writing. So I just got me a label maker from off of Amazon. I'll put the link down below where you can basically go to get it. And I just type in my label maker what I have in this rack right here, the ball python name or whatever, and then it prints out for me. I take the back of it off, it's sticky, and I put the label right onto the front of the box or the container, whatever snake is in there. It's just easy for me. It's just easy for me to take it off. If I got, you know, that snake is getting an upgrade, I just snatch it off and I keep moving. It's just easier for me. You guys, I might have missed a few other things, but like I said, I'll be having different parts to this. But this is just a quick rundown. You guys just thinking about getting involved into ball pythons and thinking about becoming a breeder. Everyone's not meant to be a breeder. Everyone's not meant to drive a car. Everyone's not meant to purchase a home. Everyone's not meant to have different things in their life. You might not be fit for breeding. That's okay. Maybe you're just a person who just want to collect ball pythons and have them. That's awesome. Nothing's wrong with that. You might even be a boa breeder. You don't even know it yet. You might even be a Burmese breeder. You don't even know it yet. You might be better off with bearded dragons or leopard geckos. Make sure whatever you're getting into, whatever you're thinking about investing in, whatever you're thinking about breeding, make sure the animal fits you. Not only that, make sure you fit the animal, okay? Make sure you have enough room to keep these animals in, you know, a nice sized room, well ventilated, you know, make sure you can afford it. As far as the heat, you know, the electricity that you're using on these snakes, because you got to keep them warm, you got to keep the incubator running 24/7, and just making sure that you can basically feed them. Don't be in a rush. Take your time becoming a breeder. Nothing in this life is a rush. Once you rush it, you will run into a crash. You will run into a wall. You will crash, and you will have to sit there for a while. So do not rush anything. Take your time. Also, when you're going to a reptile show, write down what you're looking for before you get there. Write down whatever morph you're looking for, you want to get into. Write it down or have it in your phone. So when you get to the show, you already know what you're looking for, what you have at home, what you need to add to that project. So you won't just get there and start buying unnecessary things or unnecessary snakes that you just really don't need for your project. Like I said, you guys, take your time, look over things, and have fun doing it. Without further ado, you guys, this is Ted's Exotics, and I'm out. Please like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell because I do not want you guys to miss these videos. Let's get it. Let's go.